Not live, but
All right. Hey, hello everybody. I'm Brent Zimmerman with Champion Roofing, and this is my brother-in-law,
Steve
Steve
Snowberger.
Snowberger. Hey, we're doing a quick video. It may not be quick. It may be about 15, 20 minutes, but it's a good video. It's a lot of information.
Usually it's about an hour.
I told them 15 minutes.
Well, no, we record for about an hour, and then we'll just split it up. Isn't it?
Perfect.
It's like a series, a
Yes.
Star Wars series.
So let me turn my mic up just a little bit. Check. There we go. Oh, that's not it. Which one's mine? There we go. All right. So, anyways, okay. So what we want to talk to about today is ventilation. We seem to get a lot of phone calls for issues that come into our company where the people say, "Hey,
You
I'm
just
having."
got a phone call yesterday, didn't you?
Actually, she came right into our office.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
She did.
Yeah.
This lady came in their office. Her roof was installed August of 2017. I did do a little video yesterday on it, but I kind of want to get more in depth of some of the questions that I posted on that little video, or that actually that was a picture. It showed all the mold, the mildew and stuff that was in her attic, and some of the things that we were. The questions I asked is, why did this happen? What caused it? What's the solution for it? So we will get into that today. What we're going to talk about today is proper ventilation. Now, what a lot of people do not know is when you go out. I mean, when I say people, I mean there's some roofing companies out there that they don't know.
They just want to put a roof on. That's it.
Right, and
Get paid.
right, and there's some good. There's some good roofing companies around, but there's a couple of them that just don't know a whole lot about roofing, and they're roofing. and this lady that we spoke with today or yesterday, I apologize. That was a clear example of them not knowing. Here's two things that they did. When a roof has attic ventilation, whether it's wind turbines, gable end vents, ridge vent, those are exhaust style vents. You're not to mix them.
Right.
You have one of them.
One of them.
You don't have whirlybirds and ridge vent, whirlybirds and gable end vents.
Okay, we'll do.
It doesn't work. It's like, did you ever wonder why a straw is like, I guess you'd say cylindrically perfect? Like, the top and the bottoms?
Right.
Like the bottom's not bigger than the top, or,
Right.
vice
It's all
versa.
one, even
That's to get the proper airflow. Or,
intake and exhaust.
perfect. Exact same thing. That's exactly how I explain it to customers when I go out to see them. That's exactly what we explain to them.
Right.
It needs the right amount of intake and the right amount of exhaust. So it has to be there's a ratio you would call that. That if you have too much of one or the other, it's not going to work properly.
Mm-hmm.
So like when you have a ridge vent with the gabled end vents, that ridge vent's designed in theory, like hot air does rise, it will escape. But in theory, it has the proper good style stuff, has like a little turbulent lip on it. And I'm putting this in layman's terms so people can understand it. So when the wind actually blows up over top of the roof, that lip creates a turbulence. And it actually will draw the air up through the roof. And if you have the correct ventilation on your eaves, it'll suck it right up through and do its
Right.
job. But if you have gabled end vents, it's just sucking it right through there, and it's taking the
Right.
shortest path. So you're not getting any. It's like having a hole in that straw now. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. I'm listening.
You're just sucking air, and it's just coming in right there at the shortest distance. So that's something that, like, I go by. I can't tell you how many houses I go by and I see they have gabled end vents and ridge vent. It's like unbelievable. What are you thinking? Someone did not educate their customer, and they couldn't educate them because they didn't know themselves.
Now, this lady, did she have both?
She had both,
But tell them about the ridge vent.
but this is very interesting. She had both. So she showed me some out. Well, she showed me some pictures of inside.
The
She
key
said
word there was vent.
vent.
Yeah, the ridge vent.
You're gonna spill it. You're gonna or spoil it. Let me spill it.
Spill
You're
it.
gonna spoil your coffee. No, you're gonna spoil it. But there's no coffee left in there.
Almost.
Okay, I think I'm out too. So I need
Yes.
some coffee.
These cups.
Fancy cups, by the way. Thank you to Moonlight
That's right.
Graphics. They're phenomenal. They're doing actually
They
some
are.
more work in her office, or they're actually going to, this sign here is going to be gone. It's going to be really something supercalifragilisticexpialidocious cool there.
It's going to be a picture of us on the wall.
Okay. No.
Anyway, go ahead.
Nah. So anyways, back to the ventilation. Hopefully you guys enjoy these videos. We
Yes.
try to, be real and try to throw some humor in and goof off a little bit. And that's just part of Steve and I's character.
Anyway, this lady, when she came in,
Back to this lady.
Yes.
I don't even remember her name off the top of my head.
and you went to look at this.
Yeah, well, what she did was she came in and she said, hey, she says, can I ask you a couple questions? I'm like, absolutely. So she said, I'm having a problem with some mildew, molds, mildew in my attic. And right away, boom, ventilation. So she shows me these pictures and I'm like, okay, so when did it start? And she said, well, right after we had a roof put on. We didn't put the roof on.
Right.
Because if we did, we would have followed up with this and helped her. So anyways, she goes and tells me, here's the situation, here's the problem, here's some pictures. So she shows me some pictures of the outside, and she has the gable end vents at the peaks of the roof.
Mm-hmm.
And then she also has the ridge vent. Okay, right away, I think I know the problem. I'll be out to take a look at it, and I'll have a solution for you. We'll come up with something. We'll work together on this. So we go out, and I get up into her attic, and to my surprise, the ridge vent was installed.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Two things, though. It was not installed properly, and it wasn't the better style of ridge
Right.
vent. When I mean wasn't installed properly, I mean it wasn't cut open. The ridge vent wasn't cut open. They cut a small section, maybe about 4 foot of it open over like one dormer, but the ridge runs the entire length of the house,
yeah.
which is about 25 feet, 30 feet or somewhere around there. I didn't get an exact measurement, but it's like from end to end. And I'm like, wow, they only notched out one small section. The whole way backside, none of it's open. So now I have this dilemma, like, wow, okay, because immediately I thought it was the end vent, the ridge vent sucking it right through the end vents, the gabled end vents, that is. So that's not so much the problem. So what happens over time is when the roof's not properly insulated, or let's back up. Let's speak about insulation real quick. The attic floor to your home, if you have a finished attic, then you want those rafters. You want that insulated.
Right.
But there's a procedure. There's ventilation baffles that you want to put in there so the air can circulate. And what a lot of people don't understand is whatever the outside of your home is for to a certain extent. If it's 30 degrees out, that's where you want the inside of your roof to be. 30 degrees.
Right.
You want that consistent. Because anytime you have hot and cold air meet, you're going to have moisture. So the only way to get rid of that moisture then is to ventilate it.
Right.
So there's a formula. It's called the 1-300, and what that is, for every 300 square feet of your attic space, you need 1 square foot of ventilation. And so they break it down into inches as well. So there is a formula, and believe it or not, a lot of roofing contractors just don't know that. There's some in Altoona that do. I guarantee you. There's 2 roofing companies that I know that are just phenomenal, and my hat's off to them.
Are we included in it? So
oh my
3?
God!
Maybe
Well,
3?
there's 3. I'm saying outside of
Okay,
us.
okay, outside of us.
There's 2 that when we lose jobs to, and it's like, hey, the one particular company I do not like, but I know they do good work, so I'll give them that. They're a little. He is a little odd, so. But that's that. So, anyways.
Yes, we were talking about you.
No, you're the homeowner. We're not talking about you. We like you.
If you're watching.
So, yeah, which you're probably creeping our page, so you probably are
knows.
watching. He knows, yeah. Anyways, go Steelers. No, he definitely knows who we're talking about. So, anyways, Raiders.
I love that.
So, anyways, they do good work, and one the older guy there, he's probably going to retire soon. He's a great mentor to some of the younger roofing companies and stuff. He's awesome. So, but anyways, there are certain jobs that we don't mind losing to. Then when we go by and we see somebody that's inexperienced, and then that's not doing the roof properly, it's kind of like, wow, man, that kind of stinks. But it is what it is. But anyways, back to the ventilation issue. So what she needs done, because her house is not your typical house. the bedrooms upstairs actually run into like a semi-cathedral ceiling and flatten out because they have these real long roof trusses. So there's a process. And one of the process, part of the process is what I was telling her. I said, hey, let's start out with this. First of all, this may sound funny, but I when I got in the attic, I knew how warm it was. I was like, this is crazy warm. It's like you can barely tell the difference between the first, second, and third floor.
Right.
Like when you go into your attic, it should be freezing.
Yeah, it should be cold.
The exact same cold, whatever the temperature is outside, it should be darn near that. That's what you want. So basically, I said to her, hey, I'm going to give you a couple steps to take. Because what I want to do is I want to find out, because immediately I thought it was the ridge vent.
Right.
So that blew that theory out. So now, in certain parts of it, we cannot open the eaves. We can't, because the way that, like I said, the roof is really long. The way it comes down, we can open up the eaves, but over time, this house was 100 and some years old, I believe it was. They had some blown, not them, but the previous owners had blown insulation put in there, so that eliminates us getting into the eave. You would have to really see the pictures of this to understand it, because most of the time you're just like, oh, you just pull that back, but no, you can't reach it. It's literally like 10 feet down. It's really weird looking. Well, I mean, it's a cool looking house, but it's when you think of it like what I'm trying to explain to you, it's kind of odd. But so, anyways, we got to come up with a solution where, whether it's some intake vents that are put in about the middle of the roof. The middle, it's kind of like I said, the roof is really long and it comes down over. So the middle of the roof would be right where the third floor starts. So we'd have to probably put some vents in across there to get some what we call intake air to go up to pull the ridge vent off, cut the ridge vent open. Do that properly, and then what we need to do is seal off those gabled end vents. So I mean, like a lot of people when they get in their attic and they see drops of moisture, you see like the white mildew, the black mold.
Looks like snow.
Yeah,
basically.
It does. You'll see it on the rafters and stuff. That is that's an indication it's not ventilated. Yeah. So basically, in some cases too. It can be there. Another role that really plays into it is having that attic floor. Mm-hmm. Like if your attic's not finished and it's just a storage area, then you need to get that floor insulated. Pull those boards up.
Right.
Get that insulated. You can put the boards back down, but you definitely need to keep the hot, moist air from rising up through into that attic space, meeting that cold air. Well, that's where the condensation and everything comes from. The mildew and
right.
So that is, if you're experiencing any type of mildew, again, you definitely have an issue. Moisture,
right?
The white or black mold. Take a look out for that stuff and see. And if you're local, in the 814 area code, Central Pennsylvania, we serve Blair in the surrounding counties: Center, Cambria, Huntington, Clearfield, Somerset, Bedford. Did I say Cambria? Cambria, but I didn't say it. So we serve those counties. Give us a call if you see any of that. We definitely have a couple different options for you guys. We got some solutions to get that opened up and get it ventilated, so that you can actually enjoy that without having those kind of nasty issues. Because that mold, man, my goodness, that caused all kinds of health issues and different things as well.
Especially the black mold.
Right.
Black mold is
nasty stuff. You don't want to touch that stuff.
No.
They do have some things on the market. Like I always tell a customer, get some 50-50. What we call that is 50% Clorox, 50% water. Get it into like a spray bottle and go up there and just start spraying it. You have to keep after it to it. It eventually will kill it.
Right.
It'll get it out of there, or at least it'll get it to the point where it can be manageable, and then you can have a professional come in and put some kills on it, or something that will seal that up.
Well, normally if you have black mold, and you see it on the outside, whether it be a ceiling, tiles, walls, more than likely the moisture, ventilation the mildew is on the inside of your wall.
Right.
The inside of your ceiling. So, spraying it, you're going to start killing it, but like tiles, you need to get it taken out.
Oh, absolutely. If you're talking that it's back behind the wall,
right?
No, that's a wild card. That's a whole other case.
Because if you got in one spot, more than likely, ventilation is very, very important because of black mold, the white snow-looking mold. But if you don't get it properly ventilated, you want to have your roof efficient enough that the heat going up into your attic, whether it's finished or not, shouldn't radiate to the floor. As far as you got mildew on the roof, you don't want to get it to the floor because
Absolutely.
it's going to come work its way down.
You're absolutely right, and that's another thing this lady was dealing with. She shined her flashlight, went way back in the corner of the eave, and parts of it where it was a little bit different, and she's worried about it's going down behind her wall now.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, that's definitely a huge issue. First of all, we got to get it solved. And
Right.
then you may have to. She's going to have to. She has to get a professional in here, that can actually take a better look at it and tell her exactly, hey, this is what we have to do. We need to start pulling some of this, these walls and ceilings down to get to it, or she may have caught it in time. When I'm talking about spraying it, Steve, I'm just talking about the simple roof, the open rafters.
Right.
It gets down behind your wall and it's coming through your wall. Look out, you got a problem. Now you need to call a black mold expert for sure.
Specialist.
Somebody who can actually help manage that and explain that and
Right.
and work you through the process.
All right, back to ventilation.
Yeah, back to ventilation. So you want an equal amount of intake and an equal amount of exhaust. That's is what you want to do. To make sure that things are flowing properly, appropriately. The most you can't really say, hey, the most effective ventilation. I'm not sure. I know what I like the most. I guess you could kind of say it's effective. I definitely love the ridge vent style whenever you can get it on at home. There is just certain applications that you can't. You know what I mean? Because maybe it's a hip style roof, and I know they're starting to make that ventilation for the hip as well. But remember, there is a certain amount of intake and exhaust that has to offset each other. So in order for it to work appropriately.
Right.
So sometimes you need a box vent or a power vent, even in some cases and stuff. And those items all work well. The most aesthetic pleasing look, obviously, is the ridge vent.
Right.
And you want to do that from, this way. I tell a lot of people too, wherever it's possible. In some cases, from one end of the roof to the other, the gable. That way you get that. Sometimes, some customers, they'll flat out tell you, hey, listen, I like that, for it to come in 1 or 2 feet,
Right.
From the edge. We always try to go clear out the edge, even if the eaves don't need vented with the ridge vent, but just to make it look like a nice uniform look, But ventilation is extremely important. If you have like a cathedral style ceiling and you have the insulation in it, man, it's real important to know whether or not you have baffles in it. My sons and I just went and did a roof about 2 weeks ago out in Hollidaysburg, and we stripped all the sheeting down to the bare trusses. And the reason why we did that, because he had cathedral style ceilings in there,
Right.
and his ends, the eaves, were totally sheeted in, so we knew there was no baffles in there.
Yeah.
So we're like, hey, listen, you want this roof to last long? You want a good warranty on it? We got to pull all that decking off. We got to put those flute panels in there so that the air will flow. We got to open up your eaves. So that's what we did. I mean, we did that. We did a good job on it. He's happy. We're happy.
Good.
But you got to have that airflow. No matter what style of roof that you have, there's always a good solution out there. There's always proper ventilation. And the more heat you get away from your roof, like in the summertime, the more heat you pull away from that roof, the longer that roof's going to last. You want to try to keep the thing that kind of hurts the roof as well is when the heat on that roof fluctuates, goes up and down. Right. You know what I mean? You want to try to keep it consistent with the weather and what's going on with the weather, and and you see a lot of these roofs where the snow is melted off of it. You can tell immediately. Usually that's poor insulation,
right.
or not enough insulation in the attic. So moving along. So when I was talking to you earlier, I mentioned about the turbulent style ridge vent, where it actually has a you know what. I'm going to let you talk real quick about ventilation. I'm actually going to grab a sample real quick, and I'm going to bring it here and put it on. So give me 1 second. Oops.
Well, while he's doing that, we can talk about how ventilation works. To ventilate a house properly, like he was saying, you have the intake and exhaust, and he's bringing it here now.
Oh, this is pretty good. I like this stuff.
Yes.
Got my headphones on so I can hear you. All right. Well, here's a sample. This, whoops, I hit your microphone. Sorry. This is really. I'm gonna try to get up close here. We take this to the home shows and stuff. That's why it has a handle. But see this little turbulent lip? Believe it or not, that lip right there makes an extreme difference in your ventilation. There's the inside of it too as well. What that lip does is when the wind, I'm going to try to put it back over here. So when the wind comes up over top of your roof and catches this lip, what it does is it creates a turbulation up over top of it.
Right.
Here, and on the back side, it's actually drawing the heat out of the roof. It's creating a suction, again, back to the straw, where it's creating a suction to pull it up through the vent on the eaves. So that's another good reason why you want this style of ridge vent. You know, there's a lot of different, like the roll style vent. Mm-hmm. I will never install another one of them again. Wow. I don't like them. I just don't like them. Like now that they have this new stuff out with this turbulent lip on it, it makes sense. You know what I mean? It's just, it actually draws the heat out instead of like the roll style vent it's okay. Don't get me wrong. It doesn't perform as good as this.
Right.
It's kind of like, you know, having, you know, a Ford Focus. It's going to get you from A to B, and then it's going to do the Camaro. That's just a little bit more high performance. That's going to get you to A to B faster.
And look good.
And look good too. So that's my opinion. I like the roll style ridge vent doesn't have that vacuum style effect. The heat will rise and come out of it. It'll do its purpose. If you have it on your home, don't panic. It's no big deal. I'm just saying I like this stuff here. Yeah, we started using that a little while back, and we've really we like it. It's easy to install. I think it looks a little better. It has a crisper look going across the roof compared to the roll vent where, you know, your nails and stuff. You know, sometimes you see a little bit of a waviness going across it, but you know, again, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. Some good manufacturers make the roll style. It's just this turbulent style with that lip on it is phenomenal. It just like,
see, I remember years ago they didn't have that. We just took the shingle, didn't cut the roof ridge open. We just laid the shingle. Remember laying the shingle over?
Yeah. And
I don't remember us, not us, I'm saying years ago.
Back in the day.
Back in the day, I don't remember, you know, the people that I've worked with cutting any kind of vents. I don't remember. Maybe they did when I wasn't looking, but I remember just taking the shingle and overlapping them all the way across the ridge.
Right.
And
right.
Nowadays, that's what you're looking at.
And
it not only looks good, it's there for a reason.
Right.
I mean, you can't have a 25-foot roof, a ridge vent going 25 foot across it, and only cut 4 feet of it open.
Well, you know, Steve, manufacturers have really progressed. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, like when you mentioned, you know, years ago, you know, once in a while you see some box vent style, those square vents, you see them on the roof. But it wasn't a big issue. Like, you didn't have the moisture issues and stuff because now we're running different kind of furnaces. We're running different kind of heat systems. We're, you know,
plus global warming.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, but anyways, like, you know, like you're right. Back in the day when they put slate roofs on cedar shake, none of that was ventilated. You know, and I think a lot of it too. You got to remember back then, you know, wood burners and fireplaces were a primary source. You know, then the radiators. But anyways, as things progressed, as things got better, and we as people started understanding ventilation and understanding moisture and mildew and all those things, as we started learning that better with different types of products that we started using.
Right.
In my opinion, the roofing back in the 90s, it was like you had a bundle of shingles with your instructions on the back.
I remember that.
Now it's just the education that you can get. Is Steve and Mike
phenomenal? Yeah,
there's no reason for people to be uneducated. If you're uneducated in your craft, you're lazy.
Right.
You're just flat out lazy. I mean, the wealth of information, just like even on like, you know, just tips and things and mentors that they have on social media, the videos that you can find on YouTube. I mean, that's like that's the bare minimum. You should have that stuff, on file where you're learning.
Right.
But to be top notch, these manufacturers now are offering all kinds of certification certificates. They're at
We
books,
just talked about that.
testing, seminars.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man, get with the program, get educated. Because the more you're educated, the more you're gonna be able to tell your customer. The more you're able to tell your customer, the more they're gonna have confidence in you.
I was just getting ready to say that. More confidence.
Well, go ahead and say it.
More confidence they'll have.
Yeah, and it's
Well, I
good.
remember back in the '90s, you didn't have central air. I mean,
Well,
not too many. I mean, if you're rich, it's like back in the day. You have 2 TVs.
do you have cable?
You have cable.
What?
Remember the little black box you used to steal? Remember
No, I didn't do that stuff.
that? That was a big thing back then.
Oh my goodness, you paid dearly for it.
You want cable? I got a black box. No.
No, he's not kidding.
But central air, I mean, nowadays you have central air, you have blown heat, you have radiant heat.
Yeah,
That makes a difference in how heat rises. How
pellet
your-
stoves.
Pallet stoves. Oh my gosh, you have so many different ways to heat and air condition.
And some furnaces they just put off a lot of moisture. Like the house that I went into yesterday, like when I walked in the kitchen, it was like, whoo. I was like, what's your heat set at? And he was like, I tell her
89.
it felt like 89. He's like, I like to keep it at 72. She likes to keep it at 67. I'm like, yeah, that's my wife and I. It's kind of funny. My wife said to me, I don't know, this might have been 7-8 years ago. I used to be one that always turned the heat up. I mean, my house used to be like 72 all the time, and my parents, they hated to come to my house in the wintertime. They'd be like sweat rolling down their eyebrows.
Now that's how Graham's house is now.
Oh, I can't stand it now. My wife said to me, Brent, listen, come October, we're going to set that heat at 67, and don't touch it. You'll get used to it. You get cold, put a sweater on. And I'm telling you, she was right. I'll tell you what, your sinuses don't dry out,
right.
So anyways, you get used to it. So like now she turns it up to 68, and it's like, Amy,
It's too hot.
don't touch it.
What did she say? You'll get used to 68 now.
Yeah, no, I said you get used to putting a sweater on. So
That's good.
yeah. So anyways, if you kind of get used to it, and it's not good that your home fluctuates in that heat either, because I mean there's expansion and contraction that takes place.
I mean, that was my point.
Moisture.
Fluctuation in cold heat. Your roof can't take that. I mean, ventilation.
Right. All right. Well, hey, we'll wrap this one up. It's been
Yes.
27 minutes, 28 and ticking. So, hey, we're going to do a couple more. Keep your eye on our page. Check us out. So, for Brent Zimmerman and
Steve Snowbird.
The Face for Radio, we're signing off. Take care.
Bye.